This is episode 66 of the Wilderness Locals podcast. On this episode, our guest is our friend Tanner Dannish, the man behind Frontiersmen gear. This podcast is brought to you by Kafaru International, the toughest hunting gear on the planet, bar none. Frontiersmen gear, high quality, completely custom, handmade knives made in the heart of the peace country. And as always, we're brought to you by Just Shooting Arrows, BC's premier archery shop. So you're hunting, you're working, you got all kinds of stuff going on, man.
Yeah, we're just trying to tie up since more knives see heat tree right now. That's been a whole mess around lately. Not even going to get into that, but it's sending another 80 blades off there tomorrow, and right. Then we're taking off. We're going after caribou up north. So.
Yeah, I was gonna call to check in to see how you were doing and stuff, and then I was like, we should just try to do it on a podcast. Anyways, they're always fun. And then you messaged me, then you're like, I leave Wednesday, and I was like, okay, let's do it Tuesday. We're good, or yeah, Wednesday exactly. Or whatever. What's the plan? You guys flying? What are you doing?
No flying. We thought we'd try and keep it cheap, and it's ended up being probably more expensive than if we just flew in. Honestly. So it's always
the way, man. Like, I was thinking about that when we were driving up north for our goat hunt. I was like, man, I should have just flown up here and rented a truck. This is stupid.
Oh yeah, like by the time you incorporate fuel and then just run basic maintenance on your truck, but then where we're going, getting a trailer in there and all this other stuff, it's just like $100 here, $100 there. Next thing you know, it's like a couple bands in and you're just like, Jesus Christ, I should have just bought the damn plane flight. Like, this is stupid.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And then not only that, your time away from work, man, from trying to get up there.
Oh my God. It's, I'm at the point right now, honestly, it's been a great year, but I've been hammered pretty hard this year. And, I'm burnt out, if I'm being completely honest. Never really understood burnout, even in the military and stuff. It just wasn't really a thing. But this, running your own business and getting started up, anybody that's anybody else that's ever tried to start a business or do it themselves, they understand the same boat. Everybody goes through the same thing. And I'm pretty, I try and be pretty psychotic about it. And it's just, I'm toast, man. If we weren't going hunting for this big block, I'd be trying to find a plane flight to Hawaii or something like that to try and get away. So,
yeah, no, I've been there, man. And you're running stuff at a pretty high frequency right now. Like I was saying earlier before we hit record, it's every time I turn around, there's a new model of knife, there's a new line of knife, there's a new announcement, there's a new project, a new this, a new that. Man, you're getting after it, and you got many irons and many fires.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I try to. I keep that ball rolling best I can, and just keep the train on the tracks. And that's all I'm trying to do at this point. It's I have big plans, and I've got these dates in my head that I want to get stuff done by, and it's never accurate. So it's I'm always I'm okay, I got to get more done. I got to get started on this if it's going to happen in 2 years. I got to get started on this if it's going to happen in a year. So it's, I don't really know how Kennedy puts up with it, but, it's all part of the fun.
Dude, I try on purpose to not talk about my old businesses and stuff like that on here, just because it's completely unrelated to this space and stuff. But I remember I had a deadly job, and I had guys that worked for me and stuff when I started my first real business. I had this wicked job, and I was I guess it would have been in my early 20s, and I just stopped going to work one day. And my wife was like, what is wrong with you? We literally just bought our first house. Yada, yada. I'm like, no, you just got to do it. You just got to rip the Band-Aid off and get after it,
Mm-hmm. And
it's
that's exactly it. And it's and I guess the other thing now is when you're your own boss, you have the opportunity to kind of go whatever direction you want to. So it's like all this stuff that's been brewing in my head, or like I'm working on a drop of Mountain Series blades, let's say, and that's like when the Ridgeline blades came into my head, where it's just like, I wonder if I could like add handles to them, basically. And it's like, oh yeah, I wonder, oh, I do this, okay, I do that, and it's like it brews in your head for 6 months, and next thing you know, you're dropping, like, I mean, like I've announced 2 of them already. There's more to come. There's another 2 more to come in that whole line. And then it's like, oh, that's 7 models of semi-custom knives. Like, that's pretty good on top of all my custom orders. Yeah. So it's fun, man.
It's never ending. And that's the cool part. I mean, in my old businesses, it got to the point where I was like, okay, I got to kill some SKUs. Like, I got to reel this back in a bit, like we were doing so much crazy one-off custom stuff. And like, I think I told you at one point we had an 18-month wait list. And I was like, this is too long. Like, it's unmanageable. Like, I can't take people's money like over a year in advance. And no.
Oh, yeah.
I get it, man. And no, it's cool how you do it, how you like kind of do a year's worth of orders and then just close your books.
Yeah. And well, you shouldn't say that because I broke that rule. And like I filled up all of next year, and I finally, I close that. Anybody after that, I'll put your name on a list. And when I get around to it, but I'm not taking any money. But like, I was in the same boat. I was like, I booked up next year, like, basically 2 months ago, a month ago kind of thing. So I mean, that's like 15, 16 months. And I was like, okay, you like look at this massive pile of orders and you're just like, oh, that's like freaking me out. So I'm just going to quit taking those.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, no, you have to at some point. Right. And it's like, it's one of the things too, like with your business, I think people are paying to have Tanner build a knife, not have somebody else build a knife that Tanner designed, and that's part of the what's the word? That's the rub. That's the secret sauce with the Frontiersmen custom stuff, right? You get something Tanner
Definitely.
made.
Definitely.
And there's only one of you. That's the issue.
Yeah, and that's where this expansion is going to be perfect, because it's like the custom knives will always be my bread and butter. Like, nobody else will ever touch like the Frontiersmen custom knife side. But like the Mountain Series and the Ridge lines and any other direction we go with those, like, I mean, there's a lot of little tedious stuff to it. Like,
absolutely.
I hand file all the thumb jimping in. I hand file literally every 90-degree edge off. Like, all of that stuff is like, it doesn't need me doing that, right? So it's like a lot of that stuff. Like, I'm big. Like, I'm big on the idea of like providing really good quality, consistent jobs for local people, and like I want to hire veterans and all this normal stuff. And it's like, that's an opportunity that I can bring somebody in and they can start learning the trade and the craft themselves, and it's not really taking anything away, because it's still like these knives are semi-production, right? So I mean, and then like tying paracord and all this stuff, like, is my time better spent there or behind the grinder, like doing finishing grinds? So it's like stuff like that was super tough for me, because it was like, okay, I have to hand this stuff off, and it's like so tough for me because I just want to micromanage everything. But it's just like, no, okay, you have to hire people, you have to hand this stuff off if you have any chance of growing at all.
Yeah, absolutely. You reach a certain threshold where you're kind of beyond what you can do, right?
And I think it's not the natural progression for any, successful business. So I mean, that feels good knowing that, like, we're probably doing something right, where that's the next step.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's cool to see all the stuff you're doing, and I mean, you're a highly motivated dude. I remember the other day, or not the other day, this is a while ago now, you sent me a message. You're like, what do you think of a Tactile Archery event? And I was like, I think that'd be pretty cool, man. And next thing I know, you're working on a Tactile Archery event.
Yeah, man, it's all legal now. It's all in place. Once our wonderful government lifts that 50-person outdoor restrictions, we can we'll run that event.
I've honestly stopped like the news and all that kind of stuff is no longer in my my regular, repertoire of daily life. I don't know. I'm pretty good at avoiding humans the way my life works. So I don't even know any of the rules right now.
Yeah, honestly, the only reason I even know that one is because it was like I got wind of it with affecting so it's called North Peak Archery event, and like it was all planned. We had the dates set up, everything like that, and then got winded like they're like none of the ski hills or anyone's willing to book us in because of that. And it's like, oh, okay. It's kind of the same boat though. It's like I didn't even know those restrictions were in. Okay. Yeah.
That's funny. Are a lot of ski hills pretty stoked to do a archery event or no?
It's hit and miss. Some people don't understand it, but I mean, I think the good thing is like connected with a couple of them for options, and like you can tell they're hunters because they were like immediately like, okay, so you're going to run like 3D targets. How many do you want at a stage and stuff like that? And it's like, okay, this guy actually knows like what's going on. Whereas like other people are like, so like, what do you mean? Well, like, what are you doing though? I'm like, okay, like this isn't going to work. The insurance companies have been the worst. Man, they just do not understand. Like they don't have any idea.
You have people walking around outdoors with flinging projectiles at each other, basically.
Yeah. And then, I mean, the one ski hill we were talking to, they were like, okay, so we can still run like mountain bike lanes and stuff like that. I'm like, well, I guess there's going to be arrows flying everywhere though. And they're like, oh, like real arrows. I'm like, yeah, man. Like
real ones, real arrows.
Yeah.
No, man. Nerf arrows.
Yeah. No, we're just pretending. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's we'll be LARPing on your mountain, hunt LARPing.
They're foam.
It's so good. That's rad. So that'll be something in the future here. And I guess anybody's guess is as good as yours.
Yeah. So the plan, if stuff drops, like restrictions drop soon enough, then basically we'll have, we're shooting for the end of May, I think we stated. Yeah, I think it's the end of May. The end of May in the Kelowna area. We're not going to say exactly where yet, because I mean, once we can actually book it into a location, then we can state that. But end of May, it's going to be a long weekend, basically 2 days of shooting. There's going to be a vendor events. So like, full booths and everything like that. We're going to have some fun shoots. We're going to have, a child targets at every stage. So you can bring your kid, and there's going to be like a target within 15 yards that they can, throw their arrow at. And then there's going to be some fun shoots like over 100 yards.
I'm shooting the 15 yarders the whole time. 100%. That's it.
Yeah. Sure, man. Whatever floats your boat.
I'll win the kids class then. That's my thinking.
Yeah. Oh, and then that's the other thing is there's going to be like, it's a no competition thing. So like you want to make bets with your buddies and go have a good time, fucking fly at it. Like the same thing TAC does, right? Where we're going to have we'll have specialty shoots, like 2 or 3 targets where guys will compete with those. And then like we're going to have a full iron target, a big iron elk with a kill zone in it. And then basically, you hit in there and you win a prize or you get put into a prize.
Yeah.
And then we want to do like a big pit roast and beer gardens, and we're going to have camping available, and then like a parking lot area that people can set up like camper trailers if they want to haul them out or whatever they're going to do. We're going to have like direct shuttles from both the airport and some different hotels set up. We're going to have some hotels like on board that are giving discount rate, just all the stuff that goes into a big event like this. Like it's not going to be small. It's going to be like, I want it to be a destination big event where people come out for the weekend and they're not like getting bored a couple hours in, right? Where there's lots of stuff happening going on with vendors and all kinds of other stuff. It's
going to be huge.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, man. I'm stoked. I love it. I think we've been saying like in my group of friends, man, we've all wanted to go do TAC or, what's the other? There's one in Washington, like Pacific Northwest Mountain event or something. I can't remember. I've never done it, but I always said like one in BC would just be badass. There's a lot of archers up here, and it'd be cool to sort of grow that community a bit more.
Well, that was actually what kind of fueled all this. Was like a big portion of it, man, was due to all of this stuff that came up with, that we talked about so much with like the predator ban and like trying to get the hunting community together to actually like have a voice and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I just realized like the disconnect that we have between like, even within hunting groups, but then also like the hunting groups with the general public, like how it's all seen. And I was just like trying to just really figure it out in my head, like the best way to connect everybody, right? Like connect the community of BC with the community, like the Canada community, the archery community, the small business communities. Like how can we connect everything where like, they're gonna, maybe it's a small business that goes out to this North Peak archery event and they see what's actually going on and they see that people aren't just bloodthirsty fucking murderers. And then they can say, hey, like, oh, this is going on with wild sheep and wild sheep get some more supporters and this can happen. And kind of just something that can act as a catalyst to help everything and grow everything. It's just rolling around in my head. And I think this is the best way to do it, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I think that's awesome, man. I think we need something like that, man. And I think an event where, when that, I'm going to get sidetracked here for a sec, but when Wild Sheep Society's Act Now campaign first kicked off, right? And there was like infighting between conservation organizations, not Wild Sheep Society, but other ones. It actually blew my mind. I was like, you guys are really, really going to argue that this isn't a good reason to get fired up. Like this is the only reason to get fired up. What are you talking about? And like the infighting, just like, it just made no sense to me. And then, so that's why I really, really got on board with that campaign and started pushing it as much as I did. Right. And, just the infighting, I think will be what the downfall of hunting is, especially, here in BC.
Well, I think it can be. And I think we're at a point, like we're at a pinnacle or precipice or whatever, where we can change that, right? Like we can go the other direction with it and we can kind of, pull some of that rope back in and say, okay, let's get everybody together again. It doesn't have to be like this. Everyone's been locked in their house for 2 years. Everybody's been like pretty socially drained with everything that's happened. And I think everybody's just at each other's throats. And it's like, realizing we're all people and having some humanity to all this. And I think there's no better way than like, we talk about the connection that you have with somebody when you go out hunting with them, right? So that shared struggle that, we learned about that lots in the military, where it's like the people that I did basic training with, and I mean, basic training is basic training. It's pretty damn easy. Like I talk to some of the people still, and I've been out for freaking 6 years. I saw them for three months. That was it. Right. And I mean, the people that I went through battle school with, those people are like brothers to me. Like I'm tight with those guys. I still talk to them now. And it's like the same idea where you go, throw some arrows with people and actually chit chat with them about maybe a basic issue or something like that. And you realize, you know what, it doesn't actually matter. Like we think that this is, we get some idea in our head and we just think we need to die on that sword. And it's like, well, there's no reason to, right? Like we're all on the same team here. Even like the hunting community with the, like I said, the small business community, or like just the rural community itself of BC, Western Canada. Like we're all friends here. Let's have a good time. Let's be friends and really lift each other up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great, man. I guess that's kind of sort of the point I was trying to make too about, the infighting, that I just couldn't believe it. It doesn't make any sense. But we all have the same goal. We all want to go hunting. We all want there to be lots of different animals in the landscape, right?
Definitely. That's goal. That's it, right? Like that's
Yeah,
all we really
yeah.
care about.
That I mean, I think that's like if you looked up, conservation organization, the definition in the dictionary, that's probably what it would say, right? Like, I mean, I don't know.
Definitely. And like and I want my kids to be able to go hunt, right? Like I want, even if they don't hunt, I want them to have the option to go do that.
Oh,
Like I mean,
absolutely.
that's my thing. Like it's just I get the chance. Like Friday, I'm gonna freaking hook up to the trailer and drive in a certain direction and
Yeah, yeah.
go hunt for 10 days and not have like it's all it's there for us to take or for us to be a part of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Kind of changing gears a little bit here. I had one come across our news desk here, not actually, but come across, somebody sent me let me read the title of this to you. You'll like it. It's a predator reduction survey, and
Oh yeah.
it's from the government of BC, and it's a survey that's open September 15th to November 15th for stakeholders and interest groups and the citizens of BC to complete. And it is all about predator management in caribou country.
Perfect.
Yeah, I've actually been meaning to send it to you and send it to a few other guys. I just texted it to you. And I'm going to send it to Adam Yonke right now while I'm at it, since it's open. And yeah, man, no, it's cool. It's I think it's important for us to be sharing those things inside of our community too, so that our collective voice as hunters and people that want to see those things on the landscape, our voice is heard,
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, that's all we have, really, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it kind of really speaks to me strongly. September 22nd, we're about just about a month out of my goat hunt. Man, we were covered up in wolves on that thing. Like, I'd never had an experience like that before. That's crazy, and it sounds like not many dudes have had those experiences. So obviously, there's something going on.
Yeah, there's seems to be these pockets, right, that are like really inundated with predators. I saw that in Elk area that actually we were hunting about I don't know 3 years ago, and like went in there, man, it was just like literally there was bear shit every 200 yards, like down any dirt road. It was like just all over the ditch. Like it was insanity, man. We saw so many bears. We had bears in camp during the day, at night, like nonstop. And it was just like this is crazy. Like you think about the bears per square kilometer here is like probably as high as feasibly possible in any place in BC.
Yeah.
And
yeah, no kidding. You guys have many wolves in there?
In areas like up in the Peace, like south towards between Dawson Creek and Tumbler Ridge, there are pockets in there that are absolutely hammered. Like it's crazy. You go in there and that's all you hear. Like at night, like if you rip a bugle, it's like you're not going to hear a bugle back. You're going to hear howls back, which is wild. And I mean, this is going off of like myself being in there maybe 3-4 years ago again. So it could be different now, but it's the same thing. I really feel like they move. Like, I mean, obviously they're following those prey numbers, right? So, I mean, and then as they move out of an area, slowly the ungulate numbers build back up there. But it sucks when they come into an area and they just freaking everything shuts up. Nothing's moving, nothing's talking. It's just like such dramatic impact.
Yeah. Yeah, it was wild, man. It was really wild getting into that valley with Wasey. He's on a moose hunt now, but we are going to do a hunt recap here pretty quick. Nice. But yeah, we get into that valley and we just start just Wasey right away. It was just like picking wolves up in the spotter, and I was looking up high for goats, right? And he's like, "Dude, there's a lot of wolves in this valley." I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, I've been all over BC. I've never seen any wolves, like barely any wolves, right?" And I think the main valley, I think we counted 13 wolves in it, and that was after I had already dumped one.
Yeah, it's insanity, right? Like, I mean, you don't hear about that. Like, you talk to the average hunter and they're like, oh, you know, like it's kind of like the cougar thing where they're like, oh, I saw one running across the road, right? Like that was their chance at a wolf. But no, that's wild. Like when I was watching videos of you guys up there and like Wasey and you were both sending me those videos, and it was just like, Jesus, is that all that's up there? Just wolves? Like, Christ, that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the packing was worth the experience with the wolves on its own. I mean, Wasey did not think so because he's covered up in wolves where he lives. But I mean, my experience with wolves up to that was I had seen I'd seen two run across the road in the middle of Region 3, and then I had seen some wolves eating a cow moose ass first that had fallen some ice. And other than that, I've been all over wolf tracks and I've heard lots of wolves, but I'd never seen them. You know, like in elk country, I never see them, but I hear them, but I never see them. And then we got up there and like, so, I mean, we're talking maybe like 5 wolves total. And I spent a lot of time in the bush, right? We got up there and it's just like, I mean, I think, what's that, 14 total? We probably saw up there, you know? So tripled my numbers in one trip.
Yeah, like I saw them lots as kids because like we had a super adventurous childhood. Like, so my mom was a bush plane pilot and she was flying around.
Told me
so
that.
we'd fly. Yeah, so we'd fly into like random lakes. Like, honestly, man, I was in school so little as a kid. It was wild. And I mean,
That's awesome.
it probably wasn't a good thing because it like, next thing you know, I'm dropping out of school in freaking grade 10, right, to go work in the oil field because I just never had an idea. Like, school just wasn't a thing to me. But like one trip that's really like distinct in my mind is like, so we flew. My mom was dating this guy. We flew his Cessna 185 up to, it's called
location redacted.
Way up north. Land, it's all frozen, so we're on the skis. We land at this like remote cabin kind of thing on this one end of the lake. Anyways, ice anchor down that plane, the Cessna, and then, you know, we hike over the cabin, get the fire all rolled up, everything like that. And kind of like all with those remote cabins, it's middle of winter, like -30. So you kind of like you leave all the boards up on the window and everything like that to try and like warm everything up for that first night. And then kind of after that, you can peel everything off because it's like -30, -35 at night up there. So we're up there. And again, this is like a freaking Wednesday or something, right? Like a school week. But so we leave all the boards up. We'll wake up in the morning, we go outside and there's red just across the lake, like everywhere across this frozen lake. You could see it from the cabin. The cabin was probably, 300 yards, like up this, basically like, I don't even know what you want to call it, like a little alleyway field kind of thing. So you could see it like very distinctively. Anyways, we like boogie down there on snowshoes. We're like checking it out. Well, an elk herd, it came through in the middle of the night, and this freaking it must have been a massive pack of wolves started taking elk down. And so there was like two cow kills, but there was blood everywhere, right? So I mean, I'm pretty sure they took out more, but one of the cows actually kicked one of the wolves in the neck, broke its neck. So there's this big black male wolf with a massive radio collar on its neck. But I always remember that as a kid walking up to that wolf, and it was just like looking at the size of it. Like luckily enough, that cow freaking kicked in the head and killed it. But I mean, it was like looking at it compared to the size of the cow kill that was right beside it. And it's just like, holy shit, these things are huge. Like,
yeah, they're big.
You think about like those wolves catching that herd of elk out in the middle of the lake, like, fuck, that would have been so cool to see. But
well, I mean, Wasey has a video, I don't know if he's posted it yet, of a wolf carrying around a goat head. They're just like tossing it around back and forth, like wild.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like they're a wild animal. And well, actually on that trip we saw, that was the first time seeing a wolverine also, but it's just cool. Yeah, man, there's some monsters living in the woods up here, right?
Yeah, we live in such a wild place, man. Like even all the country between where I live and where you live, like, man, there's some wild ass places all over this province.
Oh yeah, like where we're going into on this caribou hunt, like if you go in the one direction, you can just take a straight line in any, like, I don't know, like let's say out of 360 degrees, you can take a straight line in like 200 degrees of that, and you'll just walk fucking basically forever, right? Like, I mean, you're not going to hit anything. You're not going to hit a road. You're not going to hit anything.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just wild as far as you want to walk.
I always laugh about it when you listen to some of the American podcasts, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you know, if you get stuck, you just start walking." It's like that's the best way to die in BC, like because they'll hit a highway eventually, like they'll hit the interstate, right?
Yeah.
Like I think other than like the Frank Church and, you know, some of those other ones, like there's not that many big, huge chunks of wilderness in the US.
And dude, even the Frank Church, like I remember looking at it at one point, and like, don't freaking nail me to the stake over this. It's just what I remember, but it was either the Frank Church or the Bob Marshall, but you can only go 12 kilometers into it before you're closer getting out than you are going the other direction.
Oh,
like,
man.
there's only 24 kilometers of a straight stretch before you hit another road. It's like,
that's like the pack into some of the places that we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's what, like you try to get as far in as you can in your truck, and then maybe take an ATV, and then you'll do the last 10 on foot. Like,
yeah, we're gonna have all of Colorado and Montana pissed off at us and getting off the podcast. But it's like, you know, it's even like with the land nav courses and stuff. Like, they're giving land nav courses, and it's like, look, man, my grandpa's been cutting road up here by hand, and they just like, okay, go north. And they just like point these guys in a direction, right? And it's just like, there's nothing that direction. And it's like, what are you guys worrying about down in freaking Colorado? Just like you said, just keep walking. You're going to hit something.
That's to the point though. Like, that is literally the best way to die in BC. Like, just start walking.
Oh yeah. Like if you get lost up here, guess what, man? Hunker down and start a fire. Like, that's the best chance you have.
Yeah, sit. Just stop moving.
Stop moving.
Yeah, just stop moving and figure out where you are. That's what you do. Like, wait for the sun if you don't know what direction you're facing, like, wait for the sun to come up, and then see that gives you a good starting point.
Oh yeah. And man, you get into some of the areas, like especially up here, like that. Well, you guys have it down there too, but it's a little bit different because you have those tall trees. But like here, like you get into those freaking big expanses of like diamond willow, and it's like, you know, 15 feet tall, but it's just flat. Like, there's no terrain feature at all to like map yourself off of.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know how many times I start like look at my map or like look at my compass, take a heading like to go like, let's say west, and then you like walk for like 20 minutes. And then you like check again, and you like look at your map, and you're like, oh, I just did a massive half moon. It's like, okay, cool. That did nothing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's wild. Like, that's the thing about navigating the terrain in the mountains, though, is it's like a lot of your routes are planned for you when you start looking at topo maps and stuff like that. You're like, it's the only way to get up here. Like, this is the route, you know. Like, it was funny when on our goat hunt there, when we were going up, I think I said it on a podcast already since we've been back, but the route that we were planning on taking no longer existed, and all the roads and stuff were out, so we ended up approaching from a completely different side. And so I quickly planned a route on the topo maps, and we actually ended up on the Outfitter Trail because it's like, that was the only way up the mountain. That was it. But I don't know, man, it's funny. Like, we do live in such a freaking wild place, right?
Yeah. It's we're lucky, man. We're so lucky, because I mean, the other cool thing is you can hit, like, in BC, which I talk about, like, I try and like talk to new hunters about. It's like, okay, you can hunt the coastal rainforest, you can hunt the desert in Kamloops, you can hunt the buckbrush, or sorry, not the buckbrush, the diamond willow cedar patches up here in like the Peace or like northern BC, or you can hunt alpine buckbrush, like you just go farther north. Like, you literally have any like romantic idea of hunting that you have in your head, like you can fulfill that. You can scratch that itch here in BC.
Absolutely. I mean, we have literally all the different species of deer except what? I mean, I think the only other one in North America is Coues deer, right?
Yeah. And
That's
I mean,
it.
when who wants one of those fucking things?
Yeah, well, they're like blacktail. They're like the whitetail version of blacktail to muley, right?
Yeah, they're the less cool blacktail.
Yeah, I don't know. I love blacktail. I was actually literally just texting with Jared Tolke before we jumped on here about blacktail and how excited I am to try to kill this one blacktail that he's a deer I've been trying to get hooked up with for 3 or 4 years now, and he was old when I found him. But they're weird, man. Like, and blacktail get very little respect.
Oh yeah, man. Like I remember talking to my grandpa once about asked him about them. And I was like, hey, so like what are these mule deer that live near the coast that are way smaller? He's like, don't bother hunting those. They got no meat on them. They're not worth your time. I'm like, all right. Like, yeah, I've never hunted them, never chased them, never even, I've probably seen some, but I mean, I've 0 hours chasing them. Yeah,
no, it's I don't know, man. It's one of those things. Like if that bug bites you, it's tough because it's like I don't know. They just live in such crap, and they're so like I was just telling Jared, like blacktails, like when they start to wise up, when they're not yearlings or whatever, they get a couple of years old, and like you'll walk right by a good buck, and he'll like at like 5 yards, and they won't even get up. It's like they know you can't kill them.
And do you think that like hunting blacktails, like you're fighting the terrain more than you're fighting that animal? Do you think?
Well, they're not,
because that's what it always looks like in my head. Like if you're hunting those big rainforest, mossy areas, like I don't know, like, and I guess you learn to just hunt whatever. But I mean.
Yeah, I mean, like, so they're not, for me anyways, right? I mean, other people will have different experiences depending on where they're hunting, because I mean, that blacktail range is so varied, when you get from down where I am and then start heading up the coast, it changes pretty quickly. And down the coast too, like into Washington and Oregon, it changes again, right? But like where I am, I don't find the deer as like cagey as like a whitetail,
yeah,
more so than a mule deer, but less than a whitetail. Like I don't think a blacktail is going to jump the string on you or anything like that. But the deal is like you're saying, the terrain is so, the terrain is challenging, and it's challenging to hike in the first place because it's usually steep and wet and nasty, and like rock that's covered in moss that wants to come off the rock and make you slip and bust your face open. But it's also like super loud. Like the amount of just dead crap on the ground all the time is always like next level. So like, guys with sort of romantic visions of spotting their blacktail at 100 yards and closing it to 20 and getting an arrow in them, it's like that's not usually how you kill a blacktail, like very seldom.
Not how you kill anything here in BC. Like,
yeah. I mean, you can sneak up on some stuff, but like with blacktail, it's like it's a lot of still hunting, and it's a lot of like learning about what they need, what they want, where they're going to be, and then trying to predict that and kind of meet them halfway in the middle, right? Like this deer I'm talking about, I took a poke at with a stick bow last year, and I bounced an arrow off his back, and I didn't see him the rest of the season. But that was one of those things where I had spent my entire afternoon getting close to him, right?
Yeah.
Just because it was so gross and so thick, and like I had to roll up my pants and take my boots off and hang out with wet feet for 4 hours, right? To try to shoot this stupid little, 120-pound deer, however much they weigh. I don't know if they're that little, but like, yeah, no, it's tough, but I'm pretty excited about this one deer I'm chasing right now. So that's cool.
Nice. When does the season run till?
December 10th or 20th. It runs pretty late.
Wow.
It gets tough though. It gets real tough. Like Blacktail kind of really start to fire up around Halloween. That's sort of like the peak of things here. December 15th. I'm wrong. There you go. September 10th to December 15th is rifle season, and September 1 to September 9th is archery season. So it's a big, long season, but a lot of that season is pretty tough to get into them, right? Like once they get into that sort of pre-rut phase where all the bucks don't want to be near each other, like you're basically just getting into like transient bucks at that point, because the ones that are getting ready to rock are they're by themselves hiding in a hole somewhere.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's fun. Like, I don't know. I have like a major deer thing going on this year. Like I almost have no interest in chasing elk this year. I don't know why. I just I want to kill a big mule deer in BC.
Oh yeah, I get it, man. Like I'm feeling the same way about caribou. Like I've never, like, I mean, I still hunted elk quite a bit this, like beginning of the season, but I mean, like normally I'd be like twitching out, not being out every single day right now with the tag in my pocket still, but I'm like, I'm okay. Cause it's like, I know I'm going on this big trip. So I'm like, I'm good. But no, and I mean, the deer thing is cool. Like, I mean, it's the rabbit hole that I haven't really dove down yet here in BC. And it's like finding, you always see like, you know, those pictures of the big, like the odd big buck that does come out of BC. And it's just like so cool. Cause it's, you know, it's not like this, nothing wrong with Alberta. Obviously there's freaking big deer running around everywhere. But I mean, to shoot like a 160 buck here in BC is like such a feat, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just wild.
And you know, the other thing about BC too that's interesting is when somebody's like, oh yeah, I got a 160, you're like, do you actually have a 160 or is it an Instagram 160? Like that's the thing about BC is nobody believes each other either.
No, it's the 300-inch freaking elk also. Everyone chooses a 300-inch elk or a 50-inch moose.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, but it's no. like how often have you actually seen a big mule deer come out of BC and like actually seen it? You know, like I don't know, it's not very often, man.
You see the odd one come out of like I saw quite a few, like maybe 10 years ago, coming out of like the Peace Country area, off the farms and stuff like that, before it kind of got the big hype that it did, and then got a lot of the southern hunting pressure up there for deer. But I mean, again, that's like they're coming right off farmers' fields, right? Like they're literally chewing on hay bales, walking along, jumping into public, and the guys are just smoking them on the fence line.
Sounds awesome.
Freaking probably good tasting meat there.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Yeah, no, I honestly have like this romantic, I have this romantic idea about anything that I'm chasing, you know, and like, my wife always laughs at me, you know, because there's a lot more paths that offer less resistance than the stuff that I'm interested in, you know, like I planned this early September bow hunt this year that we actually didn't end up doing this year. We're going to do it next year instead. And it's just like, it's like a 2.5 day thing to get into this mule deer spot, right? And it's like, it's gonna have like all the ingredients for a wicked super fun hunt, and it's like in nasty grizzly country, and we have to climb a mountain, and it's gonna be bummer weather, and it's like we're probably gonna need horses or mules, and like it's gonna be a nightmare. But man, is it like going to be like a cool romantic like experience? You know, it's like the adventure will be there. It's not just going to be rolling up in an F-150 and hiking for 20 minutes and shooting a deer, right?
Yeah, and I think like it's a cool place to realize, like, not to get like into it too much, but I mean like to finally be okay with saying like like that's what I'm doing now is like I'm chasing that adventure, right? Like I'm not doing this freaking caribou hunt at the beginning of October, gonna get snowed on every single day for 10 days while we're out there, just be freaking miserable weather just for meat. Like if I like meat that much, it would be a hell of a lot cheaper to buy freaking a whole bunch of, or half a cow and have like delicious ribeye. Like honestly, it would be honestly, most of the time, way better, like better tasting meat, and it would be way easier and cheaper to do. But it's like I'm chasing that adventure, right? Like I'm just hungry for it.
Yeah,
I'm okay with saying that. Like I don't have to like. I'm cool. It doesn't have to be this freaking. Everybody's like, oh, I just hunt for the meat. Well, no, you don't, dude. Like that's not what it is.
No. I like when I had Ben O'Brien on here from Meat Eater. That was one of the things I wanted to talk to him about, right? Because he's a, they talk about being a dyed in the wool meat hunter, and I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, if you're, that doesn't even make sense. I don't know. We're gonna lose people on this topic for sure, but like,
that's okay.
I don't know. I think, I mean, I'm sort of beyond caring. I'm not doing this to make money. But I am doing this to build community and hopefully help hunting a bit and also have fun along the way. But the thing I said to Ben, I think, was like, I just think it's so important to be honest about what our intentions are, right? Like, I'm not going to go out in the elk woods and shoot a whatever 6x6 bull, giant 6x6 bull, and cut its horns off its head and go home and that's it. But are the horns super important to me? Like, is that a major factor? Like, yeah, but I also really like elk meat, and I also really like the challenge and the experience and the planning and the effort that goes into it ahead of time, and like the sleepless nights and the dozens of books and the thousands of hours of podcasts I've listened to and the courses I've taken and the training I've done to get ready. It's like it's I mean, pardon saying it like this, but it's complete bullshit to say, oh, I'm a meat hunter. Like, cause that's not like, if you're recreating and a sportsman and doing all this stuff as your hobby or your life's passion or however you want to word it, saying you're a meat hunter, it's a cop out. It's like, it's like how you would answer to your aunt, your aunt goes, oh, well, why do you want to shoot Bambi? And you're like, well, the meat. It's the easiest answer, And it's like, I honestly,
definitely.
I just think it's bullshit. And I think like you have to be honest, like, hey, I get 100 pounds of meat out of that deer. Sure. But is the juice worth the squeeze if you're only in it for the meat? Like,
yeah, it's like so many of the things that we cover hunting up with like these veils of other things like conservation or hunting or conservation or meat, like just for the meat or, XYZ, but it's just like, it's just a byproduct of like wanting an adventure, right? Like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's like, I'm these statements that we've put on it with like meat hunter, trophy hunter, all this stuff. Like if you put, a 400-inch bull elk standing in a field beside a freaking cow with the same body size, if you're a meat hunter, you better shoot that cow because it's going to be way better tasting meat, like any day of the week. And it's like, nobody is going to do that. Like nobody in their logical mind. I don't care if you're an 80-year-old. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's probably some freaking 70-year-old old guys that are like, will dust that cow because they don't give a shit. But it's fine. Like, I mean, it's, there's no point to make an excuse for it, right?
I think a lot of people are trying to justify their actions too, right? Like you, like I went on this mountain goat hunt, right? Like, am I lusting for a nice mountain goat chop? No. No, like not at all. Like not even a little bit. I'm not like, man, I sure can't wait to get these tenderloins home and cook them up for my family. Like, that's not even in the conversation. The conversation is I'm going on a mountain goat hunt because it's an adventure. There's going to be some cool meat, and that's a byproduct of it. And, you know, like, the science says I can do this and it won't hurt the population or anything like that, right? So it's like, it's a sustainable way for me to get my meat, but also get my adventure and live my life and connect. I mean, to quote some meat eater folks here, connect with the natural world, right? As cliche as that sounds. I don't know. I just think I think folks have to be honest, you know?
Yeah, like it's, you see it also with, like, you know, a vegan person, if they like start saying they're vegan, so many people just like, oh, well, I only eat meat because of this, or like they just like clam up, and they're almost like they're making excuses for themselves. It's like, you know, you don't have to make an excuse for yourself. It's all good. Like, you got to do, like, take your path and do what you want to do. And I mean, if your adventure is, you know, a weekend hunt, freaking driving the back roads and you shoot, you know, like a immature bull moose, like, you know, the spike fork, that's freaking awesome. But you know, there's other people's adventure. Like, you talk about like some of the animals that live, or like some of the people that are just absolute animals here in BC. Like, you know, so many dudes are just going out and like having these amazing adventures every year. Like, they're driving around shooting an immature bull moose is not an adventure. But I mean,
no, it's not even on the radar.
No, it can be for you, right? Like, I mean, you don't have to, we only know what we know, and we've only experienced what each of our own experiences is. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't have to make excuses for it. Yeah.
And I think like the weaponization of the word, you know, trophy hunting is really unfortunate, you know, because, who was it that was just on Rogan that was talking about it? Clay Newcomb, actually, another meat eater dude. We're freaking going all in on the meat eater guys today. But no, Clay Newcomb was actually just doing some educating in a mainstream space, being Rogan, about how trophy hunting effectively saved, you know, wild game in North America, right? When they that's sort of what the North American wildlife management model was stemmed from, you know, shoot mature age class animals. Like, let's get kind of rid of the, if it's brown, it's down attitude, you know, that way we can keep these things on the landscape and keep them breeding and yada, yada, yada. And it's sort of funny. There's kind of like this, I don't know, there definitely is a bit of a, I don't want to say movement, but there's definitely a lot of guys online talking about being meat hunters and this and that, and this is why they do it, yada, yada, yada. And then if anybody says anything, they get real upset.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, I think it's starting, like they talk about that pendulum swinging, right? You're starting to swing back to more of normal, right? Like, I mean, we don't have to swing all the way to the other side, but we can, you know, rest in the middle at normal. And I mean, because people are seeing the bullshit and they're seeing through the lies with like outdoor personalities and hunters and huntresses and all that crap, like it's drifting away finally. Like, you see like that post from freaking PSE Bows with that dude with a freaking aeronaut jumping over the fence. And it's like, I looked through, man, it was vicious. Those freaking comments were vicious, which is like rightfully so. But it's like, people see through the bullshit now, right? Like it was awesome.
I saw that post the other day, and I immediately thought of last week. I was like, I had an arrow knocked because it's a story I don't want to tell, but I was dealing with this bear. Anyways, I was like coming down this like very, very steep, blacktaily, like nasty, wet, vegetation covered slope, and I had an arrow knocked because I was like on top of them, and I was like looking at my bow, looking at this hill, looking at my bow, like yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take this arrow off.
Yeah.
And then I saw that post of this dude just doing the Air Jordan over the top rung of the barbed wire fence or the 3-wire cattle fence, right? And I'm like, I mean, we've all been there, man. Like, if you've hunted any kind of like agriculture land, like, we all know you just step on that middle wire and duck through. You can leave your arrow on. Just be careful, right? You don't need to jump over it like an asshole. What was that?
I'd love to know how many times they sat there and did that reshoot to get it just perfect, eh? Like, and it's like, come on, you guys. Like, it's just, but I mean, that's what I mean. You see through it now when you look through the comments and it's like that, right? Where you like, you look through like, some hunter and there's like more people that are like calling them out for their bullshit, right? Where they're just like, no, that's not actually real, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, okay. The pendulum's starting to swing back in the proper direction here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. It's good. I think it's important to hold people accountable for the stuff they're doing and what they're posting and that kind of thing too. But I don't know, man. It's like, it's weird times in society right now where, everybody has a voice and they feel the need to scream their opinion at the top of their lungs, even if they're not educated on the subject. And you really get into that with hunting. Like I've made a point of leaving most of the hunting Facebook groups because they are next level stupid.
Oh yeah. Oh dude. It's wild. Like, actually, like our business is basically like freaking totally banned off Facebook. Like, it's basically zilch there now. So I think I'm gonna go on there and just delete Facebook because the only reason I have my personal Facebook is to run the business side, and it's like, oh, well, if my business side isn't there, I'm deleting it. This is just a toxic freaking pool of nothing going on here.
It's nasty. But between like the hunting BC or whatever it's called on there, and the traditional archery stuff, like, dude, you'll freaking hang yourself if you read all that stuff. Do not do that. It's nasty.
Well, and then you get off of those and it's just, all the other political bullshit that's going on right now. It's just like, I don't care. Like, I'm going to live my life here and just, like, we've done 2 years of stressing out and watching everything and, being anxious about everything that's going on. It's just like, man, I'm done. Like, I am so done. I'm just going to go back to living my life like normal. Yeah, good. I haven't really stopped living my life like normal for the most part, I know, but it's still something, in your head. You see freaking COVID this, COVID that.
Yeah. But I'm also like a hardcore hermit. Like, I try not to leave my house, so
yeah,
there's that.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's good, man.
So did you get into some bulls? We're already an hour into this thing. We've hardly talked about anything.
Yeah, man. It was good. So like went over opener on the 1st of September. And like, it's always fun to see where the elk have moved in because they like our elk in the anywhere past pretty much Prince George North. They're very transient herds where they're moving down into the farmers' fields during the winter and then they're coming back up into basically breeding areas in the summer months. So very like it doesn't matter how many cams I have out. I almost never see the same bull. Like, I mean, it's just like they're just moving around, and then like even the elk that are in there, they're in there. They move down to the river, and maybe when they come back up, a different bull's moved in, or moose are in there now, and they don't want to be like cohabitating or anything like that. So they're like super transient up there. Like that's what I found. At least they're moving around lots. And unless you're on private land, you're probably not seeing that same animal twice. Mm-hmm. So yeah, basically went in on the 1st, and where, we were just hot and heavy into elk last year, there's nothing. It's a ghost town. Yeah. So it's like, frick, like not even like do one set of tracks in there from probably like a month ago. Like, oh, okay. Move to the next spot. Basically same thing. There's like one puny little rub and like some sign, but no like real rutting action. It's like, okay. So then like, move locations, go to a third spot. Now
Mhm.
this is day 2. And yes, the 2nd September, and it's like good rutting action, but there's some other stuff, like they're continually like logging in there and stuff like that. So there's lots of equipment noise. And it's like, okay, so day 2, we move again, get into a third, like more back area. And it was like, boom, right into the elk, like right away. And so it was good. Didn't have anything talking on the third, but had something. We didn't really get to see what it was. Maybe bull, maybe cow, come in silent to just like a calling sequence, which is doing like kind of an advertising sequence going on, and had something come in quiet, whatever, do the classic bust, and then kind of like slowly, like half-assed walk out of there through the bush. And then it wasn't until the 4th, so the next morning, basically I went in there solo, and just like, it was the last day we had up there before Kennedy had to go back to school. So I just basically just punched in there as far as I could, and got on a nice screaming bull, and he had his herd in there and had lots of fun. Like he was just ready to go. I'm pretty sure he must have had like a really hot cow in there, because it was really early for him to be as fired up as he was.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just, just amazing, man. Like, where you just like in an area in the breaks there up in the piece, where you're basically like going down like little plateaus, like going towards the river. And it's just like, you like drop down to like the next bench, and it's kind of just, you've got maybe 200 yards of like super thick stuff on this bench, and then he's kind of, milling his cows around, and there's freaking elk sign everywhere. And it was just like, you couldn't ask for anything better. You got a smile on your face, and this bull screaming back at you.
Mm-hmm.
And then got into about 40-45 yards on this bull, and he was kind of on the other side of it. Wasn't even a big draw. It was just like this 20 yards down, 20 yards up kind of thing. And it was all thick brush in there. And you could hear him just kicking the shit out of every tree around him, just going mental, right? Glunking and just going crazy. And it was awesome. Like, you'd see like little patches of hide here and there. And then he kind of like, he started doing that low chuckle where he's starting to grab his cows again, and then moving his cows back farther, like deeper towards the river. And like, I just happened, my phone buzzed, because just an inReach message came in, and I looked at my phone. It was like, I was 6.5 clicks from 6.5 kilometers from like the nearest quad trail. Oof. And my truck was probably another 2 kilometers for like, because I just hiked in on that quad trail. And I was like, oh man, like and so I finally like felt good, that I felt like I was probably finally growing up a little bit, and I pulled off that bull. It didn't feel good to do, but yeah, like I knew he was just like maybe another 50 or 100 yards up. Like they just slowly push their herds in early season, right? Mm-hmm. And if I kept chasing after him, I probably would have got on him again, or could have killed him. But it was just like, oh, so far back.
Yeah. I mean, when you're alone too, when you're alone and you're that far, that's nasty. Especially,
I dig this solo thing. Like, I really, really enjoy it. But it's those instances that you wish you could be like, hey man, you're gonna pack half of this, I'm gonna pack half of it, instead of being like, oh, I'm gonna do 8 fucking trips out of here.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be dead by the time I get to the truck.
Yeah, like, and that area is like so hammered with blowdown, like the wildest blowdown I've ever seen, where you're literally like, you can't crawl over a log. Like, you're like, have to like get up on a stump, then get up onto the fallen tree, and then like post and beam over that tree to like jump onto a different tree, which is like, and then you're doing like a 4-foot jump down to the ground. And so when I was getting out of there, I was just like, yeah, how would, like, I'd have broken knees right now. Like, this is just stupid. Like,
yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, some of the country I hunt elk into, you get back there and you start getting into it, or getting on cows or whatever, and you're like, you pack back out if you're unsuccessful, and you get to the truck and you're like, I'm kind of glad It's like now I just get to now I'm just done. Like I'm already just freaking roasted, and I didn't pack out a bowl. Like, you know,
Honestly,
yeah, no,
yeah,
that's for real. You know, it's no joke.
yeah, and like I don't know, it's and it's so thick and so much blowdown in there now. Like it's pretty crazy. I guess I had a windstorm come through up there and just knocked down, like, dude, massacred that area. I'll send you some photos, but it's just like, I don't know. Like all this blowdown that was out, it's like 90% of it happened in June. Like they just had this crazy windstorm that came in and killed, like just hammered everything over. I remember I was like walking through, like out of there, and I was like, man, if this blowdown wasn't here, like it would be so nice to walk through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is, and it sucks.
But that's why the elk are in there like absolutely crazy.
Mm-hmm.
They know they're safe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool, man. So let's hit on the business side of the house here quick before we wrap this thing up, and then I'm off to bed.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So you just dropped a new knife.
Yeah. I assume you're talking about that mountain series, the long one.
Is there one since then? Like, it's an alarming work rate to keep up with.
Yeah, so we teased the Ridgeline blades that are coming out, but we did a full announcement on the mountain series. So it's our third blade and probably the last blade of the mountain series that we're going to do. It's a 5 1/4 inch cutting edge. It's basically an ultralight deboning knife.
It's basically a sword.
Yeah, well, you know, it's guys are using them for flaying fish also, which is cool to see. Not the intended purpose, but I mean, it works great for that.
Yeah.
But it's basically getting like I said, it's a 5 1/4 inch cutting edge, so about a 5.5 inch blade. And the blade by itself is just 1.6 ounces. So it's a totally ultralight deboning knife, and man, they're just a lot of testing and development went into this to like make sure the blade length was just perfect, flex was right, everything like that. And it's super cool to see. Like pulling the back straps out is probably the biggest point that you notice this blade and like see the length of it and why it works so well. Like coming straight off the tee on like a big elk or a moose, of that back strap, you can come right in along the spine, and all you have to do is just basically press that blade in, and then you're just pulling it straight down, and you're raking that tip against like the ribs.
Yeah.
You basically just like do one swipe, pulling the whole way down like you're flaying a fish, and then you come in from the bottom side along the ribs. You hit that tee, like the top side of the tee, and then you just pull straight back, and you can pull this big back strap off like it came out of the butcher's. And it's just, there's no little cuts to it, no jagged edges. It's just one nice clean cut through there.
Nice.
And it's so nice.
Nice. And that's a ultra lightweight guy too, right?
Yeah, so that's part of the mountain series. It's so it's 1.6 ounces for just the blade. So you're about 2.5 ounces with paracord handle wrap and like the really nice guide sheath. Or sorry, not the guide sheath, the scout carry sheath.
Cool.
Which is like the heaviest option. So the heaviest that knife can be is 2.5 ounces.
Still super light.
Oh man, yeah, like
that's awesome.
It's by far the lightest blade that size on the market, and I mean there's no one else. Like why I did that blade was just because there is nobody else that's done it. So that's
awesome.
It's badass, man.
What's the deal with this Ridgeline stuff, this business? Have you announced it yet or no?
Not really. Like I'm cool to talk about it. It's like, so the general idea of it is basically I wanted something that was super durable, and basically an effective knife option for people that didn't have the money or the time to wait for a custom knife. So basically these Ridgelines, the handles are one of the coolest part. They're a sure touch handle material, which is basically a layered G10 and rubber. So it's like legit rubber, like it has cushion to it when you like hold it. But there's like unbelievable grip. Like if it's frozen or totally wet, bloody, anything like that. Like you have this crazy grip to it, but it's basically we're going to run different knife models. We've kind of already shown off. There's a long caper and a long hunter, like a 4-inch blade hunting knife, camp knife, not really camp knife, 4-inch hunter EDC knife. And they're going to be acid washed. So it's that black stone washed acid wash finish, which is super durable. And then removable handle scales was the big one we wanted to do. So you can pop these handle scales off if you want and run it where it's a little bit lighter weight. You can paracord wrap that handle if you want to, or you can run these badass SureTouch handle scales on it. And basically when it gets bloody and nasty, you just quickly unscrew them. They're just Torx heads on them, and it comes with a Torx screwdriver on it,
nice.
Or like with the blade, with the order, and then you just pop those handle scales off, clean them, put them back together, and then there might be other handle scale options that are coming in the future of fun stuff. You can make these handles out of anything because they're just all going to be the same size and removable. So I mean, if theoretically speaking, if somebody wanted to make them out of mammoth or sheep horn or elk antler, you can make these handle scales out of anything and then just sell them separately, right?
I see what you did there.
Theoretically,
maybe maybe. I might have to get Jared to send me some of that weird micarta back and do up one of them daddies.
Yeah, man, anything's possible. But
it could match my bow.
Yeah, we've got like 6 colors of SureTouch in right now, and
nice.
So there's going to be something for everybody in it, and really excited to just have another option for people that they're not into the whole ultralight jam. Like they want something they can like legit hammer on the back of the spine if they want to, or like baton with, or split bones with. They're going to be able to with these. Super durable.
Can I play the drums with them?
Hey man, if you want to.
Okay, should we go over the other 45,000 things you have on the go, or maybe we leave it when you get back and we go over your caribou hunt, and you could, I don't know, probably announce 30 other things you have going on then.
Yeah, probably a good idea. We'll be chatting till freaking 1 a.m. here.
I know, right? Okay, folks already know you're at the front end of this Frontiersmen gear, but how do they find you? How do they get a hold of you? What's your home address and home phone number?
So we're only on Instagram now, which I kind of said. It's just at Frontiersmen gear. That's Frontiersmen, not Frontiersman. That's with an E. And then like my name's Tanner Dannish. I'm the owner, and my phone number is right on that page. You can phone me, text me whenever you want. I mean, the 1 a.m. you might get the grumpy me, but I mean, I'll still answer the phone.
I would just put a disclaimer on there that I would not answer the phone. That's like leave a message.
For the next 10 days, it'll go straight to voicemail. So
there you go. If it's after 9:30, I'm tucked in, man.
Man, I'm still in the shop.
Dude, I've done my time, bro. I'm out.
Yeah,
I've ingested all of my metal shavings and toxic caustic fumes for a lifetime. I'm good.
Yeah, late night sawdust.
Oh, dude, I remember we had a Cerakote booth in the old shop, eh? And like I'd come out of that thing and your lungs would be burning, your eyes would be freaking water, all leave you crying, One day my wife's like, she's like, man, I don't think that's safe. I'm like, yeah, I don't think so, man. That stuff's nasty. It's like,
shit. Yeah.
You open a jar of it and you start gagging. Yeah, no, I've done my time. I'm out. I'll be in bed while you're making knives, bro.
Sounds good, man.
Okay, good chatting with you. I'm gonna hit end on this thing. Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and leave us a review. If you want to support the podcast, please check out the gear on our website at wildernesslocals.net.